हेलो। लाइव कर दिया, मैं स्टार्ट कर दूं। हेलो। हेलो एवरीबॉडी, आई एम डॉक्टर मुकेश पारिक and after so many days I am back with your classes. Today's class is on pastoral poetry. As you all know that we started with Chaucer, and then we had so many lectures on Chaucer. Then we started with the sonnet sequence, and we had so many lectures on Shakespearean sonnets. And I wanted to deliver an extended lecture either or so many different lectures on Shakespearean tragedies, comedies, and history plays. So, keeping that in store, I have come up with pastoral poetry because I wanted to teach you metaphysical poetry, keeping in mind metaphysical poetry, cavalier poetry, the tribe of Ben, the style of poetry, which was developed by Ben Jonson, who was a contemporary of Shakespeare, but who himself carved a niche for himself as a poet and as a dramatist and as a mask writer. And he's also famous for he's also famous for writing love poetry. So there were other writers who tried to write in the style of Ben Jonson. And when I talk about pastoral poetry, I also keeping in mind that there were two kinds of lyrics famous during Elizabethan age and Jacobean age, and they were called the courtly lyric and pastoral lyric. In courtly lyric, sonnet is more important, as we earlier studied. And in today's lecture, I am present with uh, very important three or four songs which are thoroughly studied, taught, and you will be surprised to know that off and on questions have been asked on these songs. So, as you can see the slide, uh, I have managed so that you people can read along with me. So let me read it like what is pastoral poetry. As you all know that the word pastoral has come from the word pasture. Pasture means grass lands or the fields of grass where sheep graze. Okay, so in these kind of poetry, we see that there is a shepherd or a shepherdess. Then from the humdrum, away from the humdrum of the city, from the urban complexities, even you can understand that these poems were a fashion there in the Greek culture also, and they were quite famous in the time of Elizabeth also. I'll be defining it. As you can read it, that pastoral poetry has to do with shepherds and the simplicity of life in the country. Country here means village, rural area, where life is free from the corruption of city. And you all have seen that in the romantic comedies of Shakespeare, we have seen that the scene is shifted from city to the rural areas. So there also whatever number of songs Shakespeare has written in his dramas, they were influenced by that particular genre and kind of category, a kind of tradition, a convention which was famous during Elizabethan age and Jacobean age. So in today's class, we will take a look at the genre of pastoral poetry and take a look at a few pastoral poems as well. Definition. Before we start with anything, sometimes we try to capture it essence in definition. So pastoral poetry is much like it sounds, poetry that has to do with pastures. Pastures means, as I earlier said, grasslands, and in some pastures there are sheep tended by shepherds. The pastoral poem elevates the life of the shepherd or shepherdess. The very important point what I consider here is that it is not only the shepherd but shepherdess is also involved, and sometimes the language is also given to shepherdess, and that is something very beautiful. But we should keep it in mind that the culture of Elizabethan age and Jacobean age was very much patriarchal, male dominated. So the say of the woman, the shepherdess, was very limited. So as you have seen in the Bollywood Hindi cinema, Hindi songs, that most of the songs, love songs, which we see, which we are very fond of also listening to, we have seen that boys or the heroes sing these songs, and there is a kind of commodification of the female figure, the heroine. The same thing is present here. We see that very much less is given to the part of the shepherdess. Okay, but in today's class, this is the surprise that I'll be reading to you those important writers, who, in response to a particular pastoral poem, how they created the response of the female counterpart of these shepherds. So, keeping that secret in my heart, let me proceed. That as you can read it, and I hope you can read. You keep answering me that you can read it. Poets as early as Theocritus, these names are very important, that all the writers in English literature, whether they are poet laureates or they are the major figures, almost like say Spenser, Shakespeare, Ben Jonson, Sir Philip Sidney, all these writers, and then by leaving certain writers, those who come in the neoclassical age, then the romantic period comes. So there also we see that nature is never away, and even Alexander Pope, who is considered to be the hardcore neoclassical writer, he has also written a very important ode, that is Ode to Simplicity, where he is not denying the better aspects of the countryside. So it is somewhere since Greek and Roman ages, it has been part and parcel of poetry. So Theocritus is the first writer, then Hesiod, then Virgil wrote pastoral poems, as did writers like Shakespeare. I have already mentioned him. It is interesting to note that most poets who wrote pastoral poems were not really from the country. Their point of view was more idealistic than realistic. So kind of, a utopian world they create. For example, like, we go to picnic. For example, I belong to Jaipur, and there is one particular a kind of simulacra kind of place of village that is called Chokidhani. Any person who comes from outside Jaipur, they always go there and they feel, because they have created a kind of a simulacra, a simulation of a village where you can just go for 2-3 hours and then you can feel the feel of the texture of a village or a rural life. So, but that does not mean that you are seeing the hardships of that life. Okay, so idealistic. I'm speaking on the utopian aspects of these poems. Topics of pastoral poetry. In the last section, you can see that the pastoral poem presents an idealistic, almost utopian view of rural life. In these poems, shepherds and shepherdesses are innocent. They are shown innocent. They are pure and free from corruption of the city or even the court. Some common topics of these poems were death, love, the mockery of politics, and the ideal life of the country. I keep repeating this fact that country does not mean nation here. Country means the rural areas, village. Shepherds and shepherdesses would sing love songs to each other. Sometimes pastoral poetry is elegiac, as I told that this has been, for example, Lycidas, the famous elegy written by Milton, and the famous elegy on the death of Keats written by Shelley, that is Adonis. Okay, so there has been a trend, of writing about rustic life. And before I, move ahead with today's lecture, I would like my students write 2-3 words, regarding that, because once a teacher deals in pastoral poetry, he must clear, I think, the word bucolic, Bucolic. Write it down. Bucolic, idyllic, and the word idyllic has come from the word idylls. You must have heard about the idylls written by Tennyson. Okay, so bucolic and idyllic are 2 words which talk about the positive and the idealistic utopian aspects of rural life. Okay, and rural is again a kind of very neutral adjective. When we say rural management, so actually related to countryside or say village is rural. That's a neutral word. But when I say rustic, rusticity or rustic, there some negative connotations come. So, we should be aware about the vocabulary also, that how the words are used. Okay, so these shepherd and shepherdess, sometimes, these poems are written in elegiac mood, in mourning the deceased shepherd, for example. Now, I'm going to read in front of you today this poem by uh, actually this one, the passionate shepherd to his love, come live with me. This The passionate shepherd to his love is written by Christopher Marlowe. This is one of the famous songs written by Christopher Marlowe. I'm not here to praise Christopher Marlowe because he's mostly famous for writing dramas, and is considered to be, a master of Shakespeare also. Master in the sense that, though they were contemporaries, a master in the sense that it is considered that, Christopher Marlowe, he gave that maturity to the blank verse. And Ben Jonson, while he was praising Shakespeare, somewhere he wrote mighty lines by Marlowe. So mighty lines has also been a question there in your exam, UGC NET. That mighty lines means blank verse. And when I talk about Marlowe as a songwriter, this song is very famous. There is a film, Junoon, by Shashi Kapoor. I was a child when I watched this movie, and later on, when I became the student of English literature, I got to know that this movie was based on this novel of Ruskin Bond, The Flight of Pigeon, which is about, the 1857 mutiny, the first freedom struggle fight against the British. And in that movie, which I think Shashi Kapoor's production house, produced that movie, and Shashi Kapoor was in the lead role. In that movie, as you all know, that this is based on 1857 mutiny. So there is, there are certain English characters, and they take shelter in a Muslim house. And then the women of the household, when they come close. So there comes a scene, because when I watch movies, mostly because this particular movie comes in the category of the cultural aspects are more shown in this movie. It is a suggestion from my side, you should watch that movie. Why I'm talking about movie before I continue my lecture, that in this movie Shashi Kapoor took this particular song, and he put this song in the mouths of the ladies, and they sing this song. And in the Hindi version, Asha Bhosle's song is there, Sawan ki Aayi Bahar Re. So I am just creating an interest in you, so that you can understand that when a big producer or a director, because you know that Shashi Kapoor's wife was an English, and she had very much to do with this song and all, and she must be knowing, because this song is very famous among the English people. Okay, so the passionate shepherd to his love. Now look at the language, the simplicity, but the hidden patriarchy. Okay, and let me read it for you, and you should read loudly with me. Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove. The lover is asking the beloved that this is the springtime, and come and live with me and be my love, and then we will prove all the pleasures. That hills and valleys, dales and fields. Look at the alliteration of L. Hills and valleys, dales and fields. So this is called song. The musicality is there. Then the topography of a countryside is shown. Woods or steepy mountains yields. Then he says that these mountains, which are the hurdles sometimes in front of us, once we are in love, these mountains, these steepy mountains, these woods, all these fields, dales and valleys, they all will yield their gifts to us, and we will sit upon the rocks, seeing the shepherds feed their flocks. Look at the rhyme scheme. Rocks, flocks, And he says then the shepherd woos, proposes, attracts the shepherdess by saying that we will sit upon. Now, what is for a teacher to explain here that the shepherd is busy, and the shepherdess must be also busy. But they say that once you be in my love, we'll be free and whiling away our time. We'll be enjoying our time by shallow rivers to whose falls. But don't forget that we are talking about a shepherd who lives in a country where 8 months it is always winter. Okay, but he says that the rivers, shallow means where there is less water. There they can cross the rivers easily. To whose falls means waterfalls, melodious birds sing madrigals. Madrigals is actually a word which mostly is a kind of love song which is sung by a lover very early in the morning. So there the madrigals is sung by the birds, like he wants to convey a message that we will be devoting our day, our night in with musicality of the birds, the chirping of the birds, and a beautiful atmosphere will be there. And I will make thee beds of roses. Don't forget that these lines have already appeared in the exams. Okay, so don't consider that a qualified teacher, if he's reading something, is not of any value. Today's lecture is going to be important for you so that you can understand the values of English songs. And I will make thee beds of roses. Over here, beds has a pun because bed can also be a flower bed, where flowers are grown, and bed also means where somebody sleeps. And 1,000 fragrant posies. Posies are the flowers, 1,000. Now there is an exaggeration, a hyperbole. It means a lovelorn poet, a lovelorn shepherd. He is beyond reality and says that 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers, and a curtain. Okay, so this is called then a utopian. Person becomes a utopian one when he is talking about love, a love-lorn heart with the heat and the lust of love. Says that I will prepare. That male says, and look, you should not forget that there is always a kind of supplying the things to someone for consumption. It means the female counterpart of this shepherd is going to be a consumer, and he is going to be the supplier. Okay, so he says that I will supply, or I will give you a cap of flowers and a kirtle embroidered all with leaves of myrtle. Myrtle is a constant presence in almost all the pastoral poetry, and say all the poetry where nature is there. Myrtle, you can Google and see what is the kind of leaf of myrtle is. So the rhyme goes with roses, posies, kirtle, myrtle. We should not pronounce it myrtle, it is myrtle. A gown made of the finest wool, because they are shepherds. So finest wool means to say a wool, plucked from a new lamb. Okay, which from our pretty lambs we pull, wool pull, fair lined slippers for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold. Gold is not a common commodity entity, in the shepherd's life, but look at the kind of allurement, the kind of love he is professing, proposing, wooing, by giving things to a beloved. So that you can see here, that male ego is high. A belt of straw and ivy buds. Ivy is associated with negativity also. Okay, but I don't want to give a lecture on this ivy right now. I will simply be talking about that. The writer says that the cap will also be from flowers, belt will also be from the straw, and coral clasps. Coral, you remember, there is a precious stone, which is taken from the sea. Actually, it's actually a kind of sea creature which produces. So coral clasps and amber studs. Amber is again a kind of you can say a kind of precious stone. And if these pleasures may be move here means can attract towards me, can produce some effect of, all these things, of these pleasures what I'm talking about, come live with me and be my love. And there is a condition that, if these pleasures are suitable for you, you just come with me and then be my love. The shepherd swains shall dance and sing. Swains means the young shepherds. They will dance for us, they will sing for us, for the delight each May morning. He's not talking about the winter season. He's simply talking about the May morning. Because May is considered to be the happiest season, happiest month there. Maypole, these words are associated there. That when we see Tess of Dearborn by Hardy, the month, with which the play starts, the novel starts is May. So, for thy delight each May morning, if these delights thy mind may move, each May morning means throughout the month they will celebrate, and these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. So this is not very tough language to understand. And now I am going to give you that there are two responses by two stalwarts of big writers of Elizabethan age, and they wrote a response to this song, so that you can understand how much famous that song could have been. This is Sir Walter Raleigh's response. Walter Raleigh, you are aware about, in one of my lectures I talked about that Walter Raleigh was very close to Queen Elizabeth, and he was the first person who was sent to discover, after the discovery of America, to those lands. And this you are aware about that Philip Sidney, Edmund Spencer. He wrote a dedicatory letter when though he dedicated this poem to Elizabeth, but he wrote a letter to Sir Walter Raleigh. Walter Raleigh is considered to be a constant presence. Though his poems are not famous, apart from this, I think not any other poem or any other document is well read. So nymphs reply to the shepherd. Now, beloved is not written here, shepherdess is not written. The writer has written here nymph. Nymph has, there are many connotations of the word nymph. Nymph can be any beautiful girl of village. Nymph is actually a goddess in forest. So he says that now let us see the version of a shepherdess. If all the world and love were young, with at the outset, in the very beginning, the poet puts the words in the mouth of this woman, and she says that if all the world and love were young, it means this world is not permanent and youth is not permanent. Had all these been young and truth in every shepherd's tongue, it means she knows that whenever love-laden, lovelorn hearts, these shepherds, when they woo, when they propose, the women kind, they mostly have these kind of proposals, lurement, attractions. So she says that it means she says that in what is the exact implied meaning, that this is not the truth, whatever you said in the song. These pretty pleasures might me move. Had you been permanent, constant in your love, and the nature had also been constant, then these pleasures, might me move to live with thee and be thy love. So I hope you have understood, the impact, the tone, the texture, that what kind of, dialogue is going on. And this dialogue is not on one particular place. It is, the intellectual response, of one poet to the other poet. One's response from a feministic angle, and other's proposal is from a male angle. Time drives the flocks from field to fold. So time is here actually the hero, the protagonist, the person, drives the flocks from field to fold. Fold here means that place where sheep go in the evening. Okay, so in the morning they go in the field, and the evening they come back. So the writer has said that this is the time, which drives everything, because right now you are attracting me, and when time will be past, the youth will not be there. I think then the same constancy of love will not be there. So when rivers rage, Rivers are personified here, and when they rage mean to say, suppose the rivers are not shallow, because in the earlier poem we saw, in the earlier song, what Marlowe said, that the shallow rivers, and he says means, the words have been put in the mouth of a heroine, or say a shepherdess. The rivers rage mean to say when there is flood in the river, means when bad times are there and rocks grow cold, or say when winter season comes and there is a snowfall, when we cannot go out of our houses. It means when bad times come and when love is no more, and then you see that you have the same passions in you, and phenomenal becometh dumb. So phenomenal becometh dumb mean to say, you can bring that and put it here. Sorry, phenomenal is taken from, you must be aware about, it's a constant presence. Phenomenal is actually a bird, but here the writer wants to convey a message that phenomenal, when that bird does not speak. And then there is a pun also, there is it is used as a metaphor, because you all know that phenomenal is that girl, who was raped by the king Taurus, and then her tongue was cut. Okay, so that connotations of a woman whose body has been used, and then she is muted when then she is she is not given her version, like what to say. It means if I give everything to you in youth, and then you do not love me, later on, when I'm not of that youth, or that youth is not in me, the rest complains of cares to come. And when the writer is here somewhere metaphorically linking the body as well as the outward nature. So she says that the phenomenal becometh dumb, and the rest means all the other things in life complains of care to come. Cares to come mean to say that the other things in life and nature will require our care. Next line. The flowers do fade, and flowers will not be there, because in the earlier poem, as we have seen, that he is giving an attraction of the flowers, a tantalizing image he has created. And wanton fields mean to say when there will be no greenery in the fields, and fields will of no value. To wayward winter reckoning yields. Wayward winter mean to say, again winter is personified, and wayward mean to say that without any purpose, winter will come in our life, means hardships will come in our life. Reckoning yields, and we'll be calculating. Reckoning means calculation. We'll be calculating our harvests. A honey tongue, a heart of gall. It means, it's a metaphor. A honey tongue, a heart of gall means to say you had a honey tongue, means your words were very flowery, but your heart, there was poison in your heart. His fancy is a spring, and when you are lovelorn, you are in the heat of love, you are quite imaginative, she says to the lover. But sorrows fall. So the way spring and fall have been used here, that when fall comes, you become sorrowful when you see that. And spring here means youth, and fall here means old age. Okay, and look at the next line. Thy gowns, thy shoes, thy beds of roses, thy cap, thy kirtle, and thy posies. Everything. Your cap, gowns, shoes, and she has, enumerated the list. Soon break, soon wither. Means, so what she has undervalued here, and which is, I think, a fact, that the kind of love vows which a lover takes during the heat of the passion of love, and when the kind of gifts they give. I remember a few days back there was an interview of Rishi Kapoor and his wife, and this Kapil Sharma was asking, like, do you still say I love you to your wife? Then Neetu Kapoor said that this is not that time, this is another time. We are now parents, and this is a different time. This looks very ridiculous and rubbish. So the same thing happens, that when time will pass, I think the same passion will not be there, but somewhere that passion is required. Girls and wives, they require that, their gentlemen, their husbands, their lovers, they keep showing their love to them. So most of the time it does not happen. Okay, so soon break, soon wither, soon forgotten. So along with the things, your passions because your passions, your words are related to things. So the things, when they fall, when they wither, when they become of no use, then your passion will also, because your passions are associated with these things. In folly, right? Folly mean to say you are a folly person, you are at mistake in reason rotten, and you have no logic. So here we see, in a very, if I say it's a feministic response, of a love song. That if you see every song, I have something in my heart. एक गाना अभी recently there is a song, आज से तेरी सारी रतियां तेरी हो गई, एक गाना आया अभी recently, 2 साल हो गए शायद उसको. And in that song he says that तू मुझे बस कभी मालपुए खिला देना. Have you? I just give you a task today. Just look at the semantics, the arrangement of the words of this song. You will find that shadi is, the marriage is going to be a kind of an obligation to the woman. कि वो कह रहा है कि once I marry you, your everything will be my everything will be yours, but your nights and your other things are mine. That is also kind of love song. But if you put feministic theory on that song, then you will find that he is using the whatever, everything associated with the femininity, identity, financial conditions, everything. Somewhere I find that the moment I heard that song, I found that it requires some commentary, like what kind of things we are propagating in the name of love songs. Okay, so thy belt of straw, and my battery is quite low, so I'm very going to be finishing it very early. Thy belt of straw and ivy birds, the coral clasp and amber studs, all these in me no means can move to come to thee and be thy love. And then she rejects. She rejects that these things can't attract me. I'm an intelligent girl, and I don't go all. These things can't move me. But could youth last? Had youth be a lasting thing, a permanent thing, and love still breed, and love can be a constant presence throughout life. And that is something an idealistic, because love is not there always. Other things come in life. Had joys no date, and that joys and sorrows are part and parcel of the wheel of life. Nor age no need, and then age means here old age. When age is not there, we are always young, which is again a very hypothetical condition. Then these delights my mind might move. Only then these delights can move. It means we have seen that a lover is shown a kind of ridiculous person without logic, and a girl is shown as an intelligent girl. But again, let me say, don't take it very chauvinistically. Girls who are listening to me, I can find fault with girls also, that if girls keep thinking like that, they will lose lovers. Because if a girl become very feministic, then she cannot marry. Because then somewhere you bow, somewhere you teach your boys how to come and live. Things are there. I have so many things to share. Tomorrow I'll be coming live. Let me complete these lines. But could youth last and love still breed? Had joys no date, nor age no need? Then these delights my mind might move to live with thee and be thy love. So this is the response. Friends, that's it for today. Thank you very much.